Good afternoon. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day, and it's actually way too sunny for me to photograph in natural light today. But there's a very good reason that I'm not, and it will all be explained in a minute. Hello to Ceci. Hello, Caro. Lovely to have you here. I can see quite a few people watching on Instagram and YouTube. So hello to everyone. I am going to jump straight in and go for it. So this is treat number two of my Advent calendar in December. And the first thing that I want to share with you is in the summer, we had a brilliant month working on our portfolios. It was the Creative Summer Portfolio. 4 weeks in a private Facebook group with me, really understanding color psychology and how colors go together, and really getting to grips with when you see someone's Instagram feed and it just looks absolutely beautiful and all the colors work so well together and you're just like, wow, I want my images to look like that. That's the golden thread. And so for 4 weeks in January, I'm not running the summer creative portfolio, I'm running the winter creative portfolio. And we are going to have 4 weeks together in a warming Facebook group, all cozy, looking at our winter images, looking at the color psychology of how that works in our threads, in our feed, in our portfolio. And by the end of the 4 weeks, you're going to have a really beautiful, cohesive portfolio to move forward. You're going to be photographing, but you're really going to be understanding the psychology of people looking at your images and going, wow, beautiful, wow. And that's what we're going to create. So if you are here now, the link should be underneath at the side somewhere for you to go and have a look at the Winter Creative Portfolio project. If it isn't and you're on my mailing list, then please do have a look at my emails. It will give you the links in there. If you're not on my mailing list and you can't find a link, just put in the comments and add me to the mailing list, and I can send you a message to get you onto that mailing list. So there we go. That is my offer of the day. Absolutely brand new. After doing the summer creative portfolio, we're now going all color psychology for winter. I'm really, really excited to do this, especially as it starts on the 5th of January and some people will be feeling a little bit meh and not really ready to get back into it. This is a very, very gentle way to get back into it. So it's lovely, much, much better. This was such an amazing course. It really helped you pull the things together. I'm so pleased about that. So pleased. Brilliant. So that is my special offer for you guys today. There are only 20 places. I do not have this absolutely rammed to the rafters. I want to work with 20 people on the color psychology of their portfolio. So I don't want to be sounding like a buy now, but there are only 20 spaces. A few have been snapped up by my inner circle, but there are still plenty for you to go and have a look at the link. So there we go. Right. Let's now move on to what we're going to talk about today. And today we're going to just talk about shaking it out. I'm going to shake it out. And I find myself saying that quite a lot when I critique photos, that photographers try too hard with their composition to make everything look really neat and really orderly. And actually, I just want you to have some fun with it and I just want you to shake it out. So today is all about being a little bit messy, finding the mess and making a little bit of control of the mess. And that's what we're going to discuss today. So the first thing that we're going to discuss today is crumbs. We want to look at how crumbs add to our image. And crumbs can add to our image in a few different ways. It can shake it out so it doesn't feel really military precision of what we are doing. Crumbs can also be a leading line back into our main hero so that the eye is going down the crumbs and we're going, oh, there it is. There's my hero. Sorry. Dear, sorry about that. You want your sprinkles and your crumbs to fall naturally. I've got a frog in my throat. I'm just going to get some water. You know when it's not going to happen. You just need some water. Okay. So with these crumbs, they've got to look placed but not over placed. So I'm just going to move the screen round for those of you that are watching portrait, so that you can see on here my beautiful mince pies. Now, if we go towards the mince pies and we see that they're just sitting there nice and happily on that nice bit of acrylic, they look pretty ordinary. They're stacked up. I'm going to start having a coughing fit now, aren't I? And they look okay. They're okay. But what we really need to do with one of these is we need to make it a bit messier. So let's take some out the front of that. Let's make it look like we've got a bite out of it, and just add to what we are doing with our imagery. I'm just going to bring you a bit further forward so you can see that. So then what we want to do is we want to work our crumbage around what we're actually doing. So we can decide how much crumbage we have in our shot. At the moment, that just looks like a mess, right? So we need to start looking at how much we have in it. And this is a great time to use your trusty paintbrushes, loads of different paintbrushes of things that you can do, and start to make it so it's supposed to look like it's just fallen there, beautifully fallen there from the packet. You know, we're trying to get aspirational. We're not trying to get mess. And this is the key thing here. And we can just start with different paintbrushes to mix it up and make it so that we've cracked a mince pie open and it's just fallen out in front of us without having all the bit that we want at the back. That's my workings out there. So crumbage really does help your images, because we go from it being very military style to having everything looking like this and being able to mix it up a little bit. So you're thinking movement in there. You're thinking, how are we going to eat it? And it's a bit like looking at the kitchen when you're actually making something and you're looking in the crumbage. I know, I can't help it. It's a favorite word of mine. When you're in the kitchen and you've got pots and pans everywhere and there's dirt and slop and things all over the floor, that is real life, but that isn't aspirational. So we have to go somewhere in between both of, we want to show the mess. We want to show how authentic it is. We want to show how it's done. But then when we've got the mess there, we just need to really nurture it and move it around and get it to exactly where we want. So if you feel that there is something missing in your shot, you're going to have a lot of crumbly bakery things in your Christmas imagery, because there's so many gorgeous things with pastry, with things that cakes that you can have some sponge where the sponge is coming out. Try not to be too precise. Try and shake it out a little bit and get that crumbage into your image in the right place. It doesn't have to be just crumbs themselves. It can be cocoa powder. It can be icing sugar. It can be spices. This is not just about breaking something off from the food. This is about finding the thing that looks authentic in your image, but is actually filling in some gaps, giving a little bit of texture, maybe giving a little bit of color to it as well. And that's what really elevates your image from looking sterile, military precision, and just kind of like, you know, there's something wrong with it. You just don't know what it is that's wrong with it. And I'm going to say a lot of the times it's because people are trying too hard and they're not going for their crumbage. So think crumbage, think all the festive things that you can do and what you can pull out, what you can break. And obviously, when one has been broken, obviously you can eat it afterwards, can't you? So it's a win-win really with food photography. If you're going to break something and you're going to do the crumbage, why not eat it afterwards? So that's part of what I want to talk about with shaking it out. Shake it out, shake it out. But I also want to talk to you about sprinkling things now onto your food, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what you sprinkle, but once you get into it, you will be sprinkling on a lot of things. I sprinkled some icing sugar with a client onto their pastel del nata, and I was working with the owner of the restaurant. And when he saw the shot with a latte in the background, the 3 pastel del natas at the front, and the icing sugar just coming out over it, he wanted to sprinkle icing sugar on everything. I'm like, whoa, we don't need every shot to look exactly the same, but it's beautiful. And we've got that wonderful leading line that comes down when we sprinkle. But sprinkles can be tricky, can't they? Because there's quite a few elements that we have to think about here. So I'm just going to talk about the vessels that we use for our sprinklage. And then I'm going to talk about the technicalities with your camera and with your equipment. So first of all, what I'm going to say to you is this big sieve is a no-no. Don't use big sieves for your sprinklage. If we look at that big sieve over those mince pies, it's massive. And if we now start to sprinkle, sorry, Instagrammers, it's coming off there. If we start to sprinkle over that now, it's going to go all over the place. We've got no control over what we're doing. So if you're wanting to sieve something and do a beautiful sprinkle shot, the best thing that you could do that will help yourself is to use a tea strainer. Now, if we look at a tea strainer over that now and we start to sprinkle, we've got so much more control over what we're doing with our sprinklage. So that makes a very big difference on your imagery. So and it's make or break, because once you've got it on there, you've got to get it off. And sometimes with icing sugar and flour, trying to get it off with a paintbrush is not great. A fine tea strainer is great too. Absolutely. There are multiple things that you can use. Alternatively, if you've got a flour shaker, you can use a flour shaker. Flour shakers are brilliant. They've got the holes in there. They're a bit bigger, the holes. So you can use your flour shaker. You can use anything you've got that is going to give you the sprinklage that you need. Who would have thought that we would be talking about sprinklage and crumbage this much in a live? But welcome to my life. So they're the 3 things we can use. The other thing that I just want to talk to you about is what you sprinkle. So we can sprinkle icing sugar. Now, when we look at icing sugar, it can have lumps in it. Sometimes it's better to sprinkle with flour, even though you wouldn't have flour on your mince pies. But if it's a very thin flour, it can work better. So let's have a look at what that effect is like when we just sprinkle over our mince pies. Let's just move out a bit of the crumbage because it's going to be really messy now, isn't it? So when we look at it just with our tea strainer, we can go high, we can come down low, and we can start to get that beautiful shot. And now if this is in camera on a piece of acrylic, this is going to bounce back all of those beautiful highlights on the acrylic, which is lovely. Second thing I'm just going to do is just for show you the flower on the top. So this one here has got bigger holes, but you see in the shake, we can slow that down and we can get that beautiful shake through the image. And this is where we're going to end up with our beautiful shots of the flower freezing and coming down and just being so beautiful and so simple. It works exceptionally well. It really does. I mean, it's beautiful. So let's now have a look at the technicalities of what we've got to do to get our sprinklage looking like beautiful sprinkles. And I always refer to this as dots, not lines. So if you're taking images and you've got your sprinkles coming down and they're not coming out as beautiful little soft dots, but they're coming out like lines, rain, there are a few things that we need to check to be able to get that right. The first thing that we need to do is, if you're working on a camera, you need to look at your shutter speed. So if you've got rain coming down, your shutter speed is too slow and it's blurring those sprinkles. So you're going to have to go up your shutter speed. So I would say always start with your shutter speed around 250th of a second. Try it there. If you find you've not got the effect you want and it's too blurred, go up to 1/500th of a second. If it's not blurred enough, go down to 1/125 of a second. Couldn't get that out, could I? So you have to look at what your camera, your lighting, everything does for you. But I'm just saying, give it a base of starting at 250th of a second, and then you can decide if you're going to go up or down from there. The second thing to say is, if you are not photographing on a tripod with food and especially sprinkles, you're making your life really, really difficult. So you need to get something that keeps your camera sharp and in the same place. If at the moment that's a table with a few books on it to keep it in place, that's brilliant. So you can either do a tripod. If you don't have a tripod, make something so you are not touching that camera. As soon as we press that button on our camera, we automatically move the camera down. So having it on a tripod is perfect. And what's even better than that is whether you tether and you press the button on the laptop and not the camera, or you put your camera on automatic timer so you can be the one sprinkling and you will still get all the images. Personally, for me, my kids are fed up of being my sprinkler. So nowadays I sprinkle and drizzle and do all of that myself. And my camera just goes onto a timer and I get lots of lovely shots and I don't have to bother anyone for it. So if you're in the same position as me, then think about putting your camera on automatic timer. The more that we're not going near the camera, the better a movement action shot with your food photography is going to be. Now, there is another caveat that you might go, I've tried that, it's not working, nothing's working for me. So what I would say to you then is, this is now down to the speed of the light, of whether it can freeze the movement properly. And one problem we have here is using natural light. Natural light doesn't have the same speed, the same strength as an artificial strobe light. So if you're using artificial lights that are a continuous light, or you're using natural light, this is where you're going to struggle because it hasn't got the strength, it hasn't got the power. So you might have tried everything out. You might have tried your shutter speed. You might have put it on a tripod. You might have done a multitude of other things that I'm going to come to in a minute. But you just keep going, this isn't working. The reason it's not working is because of the power of that light. And sometimes we need a beautiful artificial strobe light, which is sitting here ready to go. And that's going to be your best bet. Obviously, I know that that is not the case for everyone and they can't do that. But this is just to give you the problem solving things of, I've tried that, it's not working. Sometimes we just need to hear why, and then you can go about fixing it. If you have got a natural light, go as close to the window as you can so you get as much strength in the light. And again, the same if you've got a continuous light. And one last thing to think about with putting all the technical details together is, in your focus points, make sure your camera is focused on the sprinkles and not the mince pies. If your camera is focused on the mince pies and you do all this beautiful sprinkles and you've got your shutter speed and you've done your tripod, it might be out of focus and not working for you because you've not told your camera where to focus. And these are really kind of quick fixes, but if we don't have that checklist of this is what I've got to do, this is how it works, sometimes we just need to go back to the drawing board, simplify it, and just go, oh yeah, I wasn't focusing on the sprinkles. So, that can also help. One other thing in terms of your sprinklage, whether it's you doing your sprinklage or someone else, is think about the height of that sprinklage. Is it going to be up here somewhere, or is it going to be right down low? Because we've got our mince pies here. Are we sprinkling or doing something here? Are we sprinkling up here? Now, that's going to change the speed of what you do because it's going to come out at different times with whether you're using icing sugar, whether you're using flour, and the height that you're dropping it from. So I think it's back to one of those science lessons, which a lot of photography can be, but I'm hoping that I've given you some really simple solutions. So just to come back in there on the top tips, let's have a look at our crumbage. Make your crumbage look natural. We don't want to see the whole hurricane whirlwind of your mind with multiple crumbage everywhere and it looks like someone's come in and devoured everything that you've got. You can use some leading lines to take it to that main hero with the crumbage, and make sure you've got different size crumbage as well. Your crumbs don't all have to be the same size, or we're back to that military precision of everything looking very non-creative and just set up together. Then think about when we go to the sprinkles, what is it that you are sprinkling in? A sieve is a no-no. It's too big unless you've got a massive, massive table that you are just doing mass sprinkling to. This does not work for you. A tea strainer, a flour shaker, even if it was just your hands and you were getting something in there, make sure it's only going over the food and you haven't got everything all around. Then looking at the technicality aspects, your shutter speed, your tripod, what lighting you're using, and are you actually focusing on the sprinkles and knowing what height you're sprinkling from. So that is the top tips. What's the question? Probably a silly question, not normally, but is there a better aperture to use for your sprinkle shots? It just depends how much you want to get in focus and what you want to achieve from the sprinkling shot. You can keep it a very narrow depth of field by going down the numbers to keep it as crisp and as sharp as you can. But again, it's very difficult to say one size fits all when all cameras are very different. So yes, play around. Give yourself a shallow depth of field so the camera is only focusing on the mince pies and the sprinklage, but you might find with your camera it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. Right, just got one over on Instagram, just bear with me. Thank you. Not sure how to practically focus on the sprinkles before sprinkle. As I'm sprinkling away from the camera, I'm sure I'll work it out. So that's where you are on the tripod. You get your focus points, you decompress the button halfway, then you set your timer and you press the button or lock the focus there and come round and do it. If you feel that you're too close, take the camera away from the set a little bit further and open up your focus points. So when we look at your focus points, and modes, we want to always have it on a single point focus so that it only takes the image in focus. What we want for how it looks is we want to either go for the pin, the bigger pin, the main area, or the whole area, sometimes even panoramic. Again, all different camera makes have got different things. I can only explain what Nikon do as a Nikon user, but you'll just need to look at your points and see how that works. So let me know if we've got any more questions. I'm looking on YouTube and Instagram, so just bear with me. I will give you a minute to type. Loving these lives and adopting the term crumbage. Absolutely. Everything should be sprinklage, crumbage, and everything should probably end with age on the end. I don't know. That's just me spitballing that one to you guys. So while you're thinking if you've got any more questions, I'm just going to mention again, the Winter Creative Portfolio is 4 weeks with me in a private Facebook group in January. Get your January off to a good start gently. It's a really gentle, calm 4 weeks where we talk about the colours that you photograph with. We talk about your portfolio. We gently get you picking up your camera. And at the end of it, you have the most beautiful portfolio. It's not as easy as it sounds as just putting all your images together. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that we have to do. Thank you. Not sure. Oh, that's the same one. Sorry. Right. I can't see any more questions. If you've got any more questions, please do put them in the comments and you can ask me about them and I can come back to you in the comments. Hopefully I'll see some of you on the Winter Creative Portfolio, and hopefully I'll see some beautiful shots full of sprinklage and crumbage coming out throughout December. But thank you for joining me today. It's been great sharing the last half an hour with you. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye.